With that, we're going to officially get started. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the K12 Esports League Unreal Edition, or I'm sorry, Unreal Engine Fortnite Edition Workshop. We're going to be learning all about how to create things within Fortnite. So if you've ever wondered how a Fortnite map is created, this is how it is. Before we get into it, just a little bit of prior knowledge, right? Unreal Engine Fortnite Edition, anybody can use it. It's actually very intuitive. If Dustin and I can learn it, you all can learn it as well for sure. But it is used by professionals, and so that's like the maps that you actually play on and see and are really popular, usually made by I would say 95% of the time they are made by professionals, but that 5%, which is actually a lot in the grand scheme of things, is made by people just like you, where they're just dabbling, they're having fun, they want to make their own map, and see if anybody enjoys and likes playing it, right? So just wanted to make sure that we did talk about that really quickly first. But before we get into it, Matt, we know that you know us, but for those of you that are new here and this is your first time seeing Dustin and myself, my name is Robbie Menegdeg. I'm the K12 Esports League manager, and I have been here at K12 Stride for 4 years, which is amazing. I've loved esports since 2010, and actually was on Fortnite when it first got dropped. I mean, before anybody knew that you could place walls in the stairs and create a head glitch for yourself, right? Like I was at the very beginning. So I play a little bit of everything, but I've definitely touched Fortnite quite a lot over my time. And we're excited again to make some maps with you guys here. Dustin, I'll send it over to you.
Yeah, and I'm Dustin Owens. I'm one of the league coordinators for the K12 Esports League. I have been with K12 overall a little over 5 years. I was a former coach at one of our virtual academies and everything. So got a little bit of a knowledge on that back end piece from the school level. Super excited to be on this level as well. I do play a lot of Fortnite, which definitely helps in this scenario and everything. And one neat thing is even though we're focused on the Fortnite edition of Unreal Engine, two of the games at least that we offer at the K12 Esports League, being Marvel Rivals and Valorant as well, has recently switched over to using Unreal Engine. So there are multiple games that are currently out there, obviously, that utilizes free engine, which is super cool. But super excited to also be able to kind of dive in a little bit more into the Fortnite side.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Almost ready to get officially started here. And while we're getting through these next two slides, if you don't already have Unreal Engine Fortnite Edition up, go ahead and pull that up. And if you're unable for whatever reason to be in the Zoom and also have Unreal Engine Fortnite Edition up, that's a-okay. I would say follow along with us, watch the workshop here over the next about 50-ish minutes, and then do it on your own time before we meet again next week. But really, we want to talk to you very quickly about what to expect over the next 4 weeks, right? Because this is a 4 week workshop session. We're going to teach you the basics of Unreal Engine Fortnite Edition, and you will see it kind of abbreviated as UEFN. And so if we say that, this is what we're talking about, right? Is what we're actually building our Fortnite map in. The sessions each week will be focused on a few key things, and really our goal at the end of it is to get all of you comfortable enough with the fundamentals to go out on your own and start building, right? Like we want you to be comfortable enough with the basics, um, some more advanced things, but just able to make your own map, and then that will start you to really get deep and get advanced and start messing with some animations and things like that. But for the next 4 weeks, we're focused on basics, which is perfect because most of us, if not all of us, are blank slates for UEFN. And with that, I'm going to turn the majority of the rest of the session over to Dustin here today. Please definitely use the Q&A feature. Let us know if you have any questions as we're going through. I'll do my best to answer them in the chat. And if there's anything that I feel really needs to be answered live, I will go ahead and make sure that me and Dustin do address that. But Dustin, go ahead and take us away here.
Yeah, absolutely. So for today specifically, because Unreal Engine, obviously, like with any kind of software, whether it's like Photoshop, whether it's Canvas, even that's a little bit more user friendly, there's a lot of different things and a lot of different customizations that you can do within this. So like it's super cool that Epic Games has provided this as a free software for everybody to be able to
Hmm.
use. But keep in mind, there are literally thousands and thousands of combinations of different things that you can do within here. We are simply just going to be focusing on these simple ones to be able to get you in and get you at least get your feet wet, have you feel a little bit more comfortable and everything. So that's one of our goals for today is just showing the controls of what you can do within Unreal Engine, and then getting you a little bit more comfortable to be able to get in there and actually start making stuff. One of the other things that we'd like to be able to do today is to show you how to add some of the landscaping, and kind of manipulate that. So it gets to be a little bit easier in terms of being able to show you like how you can form mountains and form plateaus and stuff for people to battle on, or whatever your map is going to specifically be, because obviously you can literally do whatever here with
Hmm.
Unreal Engine. And then utilizing our content browser, which we'll kind of get a little bit more into that as well. Just being able to show you how to access props and items and everything to be able to actually put them into your map. So some very simple kind of stuff to get into today for sure. But when we start actually getting into the engine part, it's obviously going to look a little overwhelming. So just keep in mind going in with a level head that everything is going to be made as simple as possible.
Hmm.
And Hector, all good. No need to worry about being late. We appreciate you just being here today. With that being said, Robbie, I'm going to ask for the share permissions. Awesome, thank you. And if you don't already have Unreal Editor for Fortnite Edition up, obviously there was a link that was shared when you originally signed up for the webinar to be able to download it. If you already had the Epic Games Launcher installed, all you have to do is search for it, and you should be able to download it relatively quick. Keep in mind, it is a process, even with like I've got a little bit of a souped up PC myself, but even with that, it does take a little bit of space. Things kind of can go a little slower. So if you, depending on what you're working off of, just keep that in mind. Um, you have to have Fortnite just because you can actually do some things like interchangeably, and we'll kind of show you some of that stuff like over the next few weeks and everything. But to get started specifically today, once you have Unreal Editor up, it's pretty much going to bring you to a screen kind of similar to this. These are obviously projects that I've already started. So anything that you do start, you're going to see here you can pull up very easily, just like any kind of file you would save with any kind of application. And then it gives you the option to like start a new project. So if you've never been in it, that's probably what you're likely going to do first is you're going to start a new project. And so the really neat thing about this is there's actually a few different things that you can kind of choose from. I'll tell you which one to choose today. And then from there, you can kind of just expand off of however you would like to in the future. So obviously we have my projects. You can go under that and search those. The neat thing about UEFN is it actually gives you pre-made templates for things. So like we could start with a blank slate, which is what we are going to do today. So if you want to go ahead and choose blank, you can. But I do want to show you just a few of the other ones that are in here. You can kind of see that there's already some different POIs or points of interest if you're not familiar with that acronym, uh, to where you could go ahead and choose, like Tilted Towers, for instance. It already has all of the buildings, all of the chests, and like all the manipulated items and props already built into that map, which is super cool. So you can go ahead and preload that and start to manipulate from there. The reason why we're going to do a blank one today is because I want to be able to show you some how like you can start building up from your base to a little bit more. But just kind of like looking through this, you can kind of see like what options you have available. Like you have like Caldera Island and the Archipelago Go Islands and everything like that. Super cool stuff. They have some brand templates. So like one thing that they actually have recently added is some of these Star Wars items and props and background pieces and everything that you can use. So the one cool thing is pretty much everything that has been created within Fortnite has already kind of been brought over to UEFN in some way, shape, or form. which we'll kind of dive into that a little bit more once we get into the content browser and everything. But you can kind of see like they even have like the Lego piece from Lego Island and everything. They've got a lot of different options in here, which is really cool. And then one thing we'll kind of go over uh, probably in the last couple of weeks is there's some really neat features within the feature examples tab. It actually kind of gives you a little bit of a tutorial on each of these things as well, including like the animation piece, which I think we are going to hit on that definitely in week 4. Kind of goes over how to do like how to animate some of the mannequins for the emotes and everything. Super, super neat. But again, just kind of wanted to show you what that looks like. So if you haven't already, go ahead and load up under the island templates, create a blank one. And I've actually already got one up. So I just wanted to show you how to get into that. And this is probably what you're going to see right off. It's truly just going to be a blank platform and space for you to begin building off of and adding anything that you want to. There's a lot of different things here. Obviously, there's a lot of different tools, there's a lot of different things, but that's what we're going to kind of go over first. So just bear with me as we kind of go through some of this. Some of this will be kind of common knowledge, but then at the same time, we want to make sure that you're fully prepared for when you actually do start editing and everything like that. So starting with the top of UEFN, you have like some of your standard things with the file. You can obviously create a new level, you can open a new level. Your save feature is also right here. And keep in mind, there's also a very quick save button right here, which is very, very important as you're working through your projects. Make sure that you're saving them. In the event that there is a crash, it does happen, obviously, and we definitely don't want that to be a frustration piece. So anytime you've made like a significant change or anything like that to your map, make sure to just go ahead and save it, just so that way, in the event of a crash, you don't have to worry about having to redo all of that, especially if you've done like a lot of different manipulation. Under the edit tab, that's going to be like, and there's the good thing about this is that there's hotkeys and stuff. So yes, Josh, to answer your question, there are hotkeys for stuff like that as well. You can actually learn a lot about that within here too. You can see like even to do like an undo, it'd be like Control Z. To redo something, it'd be Control Y. So you want to take some time to go through and familiar yourself with some of the hotkeys, so that way it's a little easier and a little quicker for you. But in the event you can't find anything, you can definitely do it under this edit tab. The window is actually going to be several different things. You're going to see the cinematics piece, which we're not really going to touch much on throughout this piece, but content browser is definitely one. Content browser, I'll kind of get into it a little bit later, but you can actually have up to 4 of those open at one time, which is super nice if you're looking for different props and items and everything. Details is like another one. Outliner, we're definitely going to be going over a little bit of that. Think of it as, and I'm not sure if any of you have ever tried doing graphic design or anything like that, but when you're building maps, you're building layers upon layers upon layers of stuff. And so, like, obviously, we're starting with this base plate, then we're going to be adding the landscaping. Well, then on top of that, if you wanted to add foliage, like the trees and the bushes and stuff, well, then you can add the buildings, you can add the parking lots, you can add the cars. It just kind of builds off of each other. And so the outliner tool is going to come into play a little bit with that, but also being able to help you select things a little quicker. Your viewports. So essentially what we're looking at right here with the platform and the 2 spawn points is your viewport. You can actually have 4 of those open at one time, and I'll be able to show you here in just a few moments as well. It's kind of neat to be able to see it from different perspectives, depending on what exactly you're working with and how far you're going to go into it. And I won't go into like a lot of these other ones. Again, we're not going to be touching on some of these. Fab will kind of hit on just a little bit when I go over the content creation piece or the content browser. But overall, you're going to be using the viewport, the outliner, the content browser. That's going to be your window tool. The tools, there's some various things within here that, again, we're not really going to utilize throughout this webinar, but every piece within Unreal Engine obviously is important to some degree. It's just a matter of what we're actually doing. But this kind of gives you an idea of like your project size and everything. And you also have your project size displays over here. So that way you can see how much space it's going to be taking up once you've kind of finished and finalizing everything and everything like that. We're definitely not getting into the verse, but I did want to touch on it. Verse is more coding. So that's the more advanced style things you can actually build from code uh, within Unreal Engine and everything. You could pull stuff over that's already been utilized, that's already pre-coded to be able to pull into things. So definitely some cool things there. I know some of you guys are probably really good code gurus, so that could definitely be something you might want to look up in like a video later to kind of give a better idea. But definitely not something that I can share with you and go over today. And in building, just a little something different. Building landscape. We're going to kind of go over all that kind of stuff. The select tool is very helpful when you're selecting multiple items within your map at one time. So Control A is going to be able to select a bunch of stuff at one time, whereas Escape is unselecting all of them. Obviously, you can select different things, individually by clicking on them. We'll kind of go over on it in the outliner as well. This also kind of gives you access to like lights and materials and everything like that. But again, we'll kind of go over some of this as we're kind of going through. And then the help button is actually very helpful. It's exactly what it says. It's got a lot of different documents. There's like a website that we're kind of going off of too. It's your first hour in Unreal Engine Fortnite edition. Super, super cool. There's a lot of videos and documentation there. So if there's ever anything that you need to look up specifically, it's most likely going to be in here. There's actually an AI feature within this too that can actually help you kind of build through some of this and talk through some of it as well, which I think is super, super cool. But that's kind of the top layer of Unreal Engine. To get into more of like what we'll actually be working with throughout the next 4 weeks and everything is primarily going to be the tools and the modes and everything like that. That like here on the bottom. So right now we're what's in a mode that's called selection mode. It's legit means what it is. I can go in and select. Uh, these are spawn points that have already spawned. I can select these and I can start manipulating them however I want to, which is super, super neat. So like your cursor tool right here is for you to be able to select objects. So that's going to be very, very simple. How you'll actually want to learn to move around is you actually hold your right click down and you use your WSAD keys to move forward, back, left, right. You can use E to go up and Q to go down. You can hold them and do it. I was just kind of like pressing them a little bit because mine's a little fast. You can actually change the speed of this, but it's actually really good to get used to the movement in here. So that way you can kind of look around at how things are going to turn out, see what you need to manipulate, make any changes or adjustments that you need to, and kind of go from there. So for the most part, you'll probably be in selection mode for when you actually go to start manipulating props and working with stuff. But there are a few different modes that you would obviously need to know. Landscape mode is one that we are going to be going into that shows you and allows you to manipulate the landscaping. Super simple. Foliage, kind of the same way with the trees and bushes and stuff. We won't really get into the modeling or the animation until weeks 3 and 4, but those are also in there for when you modeling is basically building your own props from scratch, which is actually really, really neat. And then the animation is more of like kind of like the emotes or like mannequin movements of like what you want a specific person in the game to do. So some really, really cool modes and everything. But selection mode, you're primarily going to be in here. Like I said, the cursor is to select your object. The next one, which I can't remember exactly what it's called, but this one, you can actually manipulate it. You see the accesses that come up on this particular spawn point. So if I grab the green arrow, I could drag it up and down so I can move it to different heights. Right's going to be one, or the red one is going to be one access point. And then this is going to be your another access point. So left to right, front to back, how you want to manipulate that kind of thing. The next one is going to be actually rotation. So you'll see it change from the access point to the rotation point. This allows me to rotate it any way, which way I want to, whether it's front to back, left to right, so on and so forth. Super cool if I want to turn it like, 90 degrees or 160 degrees or however I want to do it, I can do that. And then if I ever want to just undo any of what I just did, I could just hit Control Z, or I can go up to this Edit tab and it'll undo all of that and it'll put it back eventually where it originally started. So very, very simple to kind of be able to go through some of that. And you can also scale. So this, beside the rotation, is the scaling button. So I can increase the height, put that back. I can increase the width, and I can increase the depth. So you can kind of do it all one time. Really good for being able to scale buildings and everything like that. And again, if I want to just un I did not mean to do that. Let's undo that. There we go. But if I want to undo all that, really super simple. Again, Control Z gets you back to normal. And so these are all the general the general tools that you'll be using to manipulate the props and the landscaping and everything too. And landscaping mode slightly different because there's some different things in there, but for the most part, those are also going to be utilized. Now, one thing I do want to show you, and actually we'll kind of get into that once we get a little bit more added into the map and everything. Um, there's some different, so these are the viewports that I was talking about. So you'll notice that there's four different perspectives. The perspective that we're on this screen, on the main one, is actually called the perspective screen. So it's whatever you're looking at and like whatever is going to be like actually in the game. Um, we probably won't be using this feature very much, but this is really good for in-depth graphic design or level building and everything to be able to see it from different perspectives and viewpoints. These are what is known as wireframes. So it kind of gives you an idea like, okay, well, since I manipulated this guy right here, you can actually see his spawn point is a little bit higher up. I probably wouldn't have noticed looking at it from this general perspective. It kind of looks the same, right? Well, so when I look at it like this, okay, well, here's the level playing field, and this is up just slightly. So it kind of gives you a better look at like what needs to kind of go in line and like, just some different things there, like to be able to see the overall design. Because sometimes it's hard to just see from one viewpoint, right? You got to look at it from all angles. So you have right here, we're looking at a wireframe, which is what this is called, and we're looking at it from the right perspective. Whereas this one is the wireframe. This is from the front perspective. And then like up here in the top left, this is actually the top perspective. So I could see it from both characters right here on these spawn points from the top. And I could change it, I can manipulate that. This is from the bottom. If I want to, we can go to the unlit version and I'll go back to the top so that way you can see. And so like it changes like the lighting piece and everything because it's currently unlit. Or if I want to go to lit, it's going to show you exactly pretty much from this, but from the top perspective. So a lot of cool things. And if you ever want to go back uh, to like your original, you could just click back in right here. And it was right over here. I could change the viewport under these settings right here. So super cool to be able to see that. Well, like so, we'll probably primarily stay in the perspective because that's where you're going to actually be able to see everything. But super, super cool to be able to kind of get just a general idea of what some of these tools are. And we'll kind of, manipulate some more and everything throughout uh, each of the weeks and everything like that too. One thing you can do too is if your PC is not necessarily, or your laptop, whatever you're working off of, is not fully prepared to handle the sizing and everything of this too, you can actually change what's called the scalability, which kind of helps with bringing some of the clearness and the crispness down of like the level, so that way you can actually move around in it a little bit easier. So if you go to looks like a little RPM or like a miles per hour thing right here beside project size, and you go to viewport scalability, I've actually set all mine to low. If you're working, like I said, not on a super hyped up PC or laptop, definitely highly recommend doing this because it'll kind of help bring some of the timing and everything like that down when everything kind of goes to load. If you go up to higher epic, it's going to be quite a bit in terms of what it's processing. And it's going to give you as many details as possible, but it may not run the best. So just kind of as a heads up for scalability, it's a good way to kind of get in there. Um, with that being said, though, one thing that you would want to do, and we'll kind of go over through this with in week two. We've kind of gone over some of the tools and everything. I want to be able to get into the landscaping piece. But like one thing that you'll want to really start to think of is what kind of map you actually want to make. So like if you've done Fortnite Creative, if you've heard of Fortnite Creative, it's basically the editor within Fortnite that you could just utilize. Whereas Unreal Engine, you can actually take what you've done in Fortnite Creative or start a new project in Unreal Engine and go off of there. Um, but it's super. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. It's really good to know what kind of theme you're going for your map. So if we're just doing like a general map that you were going to be using for like a Zone Wars, or kind of going into more of like a parkour type course, when you scroll through Fortnite, like you're seeing all of those different maps and different game styles. You know, like the steel brain rot type of games or the prop hunts and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff can be made within this, which is why anytime you've seen like a content creator, or even if you log into Fortnite and you see that there are certain map codes, that's basically from, it's not necessarily coming out directly from Epic. They're coming out from people like you. They're making those maps within Unreal Engine or Fortnite Creative and then publishing them so that way people will play them. So I think so, I saw somebody mention it's kind of like the Roblox Studio. Yeah, it's very similar to that. A lot of similar features, but Unreal Engine definitely has like a lot that I know. I haven't really used Roblox Studio personally, but I have seen other people use them, and it is they have a lot of very similar features and everything. But with that being said, again, that's kind of the base level in terms of the actual tools. There's a lot of tools that we didn't go over 100%, but for what we are using in this webinar, we definitely don't need every single element. This is truly just to kind of get you started. So with that being said, I think what would be a good use of time would be switching over to the landscaping piece now. And so I will stop sharing Robbie for a minute. And if you want to pull up that video for us, there's going to be a quick, it's like a 2 or 3 minute video that shows you a little bit on how to do the landscaping. And then we'll kind of take a few minutes and kind of I'll show you how to actually do it like within the editor itself.
Bear with me for just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. For some reason here, Dustin, my share screen does not allow me to share the sound.
Oh,
And as soon as we get this set, we're gonna start placing some things down. So
yeah,
I think we're through the the mundane part of just showing you guys what you can do, um, and then we'll get into the actual placing things down and moving things and whatnot. Yeah, I cannot share the audio on this one.
that's okay. I think I got you.
Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right. No worries. We'll work around with what we got. So let me know if you can hear this. I have it pulled up. I haven't played it just yet, but just let us know that you can hear this once it kind of gets going. Oh, it's not okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
cannot.
Ah, super interesting. Well, we're gonna pivot from that then. Let me make sure that we're not. Yeah, all good. That's not a problem at all. Good thing is I was going to be going into the remainder of it anyway, so not a huge deal at all. All right. Well, the good thing is like I said, landscaping actually is not overly difficult to do. So it should be pretty easy to be able to show you at least the general tools. So what we're going to do, obviously we have our couple of spawn points and everything right here. When you go up here to the top with that selection mode, you're going to switch it over to landscape. And you're going to see it kind of comes in like this. The good thing is there's already pretty much one preloaded for you to where we can kind of go ahead and work off of something simple. Um, Keep in mind, as I mentioned before, there are literally thousands and thousands of different styles and edits and everything that you can do within here. We're just going to keep the base set to keep everything simple. But technically you can change your terrain at any time. So with that being said, you'll have this manage screen come up. This is already going to be preloaded, so we'll just go ahead and hit create. And it may take a minute to load, but it gives you an idea. It's going to cover this entire map with some form of foliage. It looks a little barren at the moment, but we're going to actually get that adjusted. One thing you can do within this, you'll see that your tools are still right here, which is really nice. Um, I'm actually going to go back to selection mode for just a second. It's going to bug out for a moment while I do this, but I promise you it is just fine. It's just because of the way things are. I just want to make sure that these spawn points are up so that way they're not affected when I go to do this. All right, so under landscaping mode, obviously we were under manage. It should automatically switch you over to sculpt, but if it doesn't, make sure you have sculpt selected. You'll notice that there are like the two big circles plus my cursor. That's what's basically it's following. What I can do is I could still move around if I hold right click. And if I want to go up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hold left click for a minute, and you'll kind of see if you the longer you hold it, it's going to start spawning in like some hills and stuff like that. So like if I want to just do like a quick edit, like I could just go through all here, hold it down, basically start adding grass if I want to. It's going to add a few mountains, but then we can also manipulate those later. The longer you hold that left click down though, the more of a mountain you'll have. And obviously, like if I wanted to go back to this mountain or this little hill right here and I wanted to make it bigger, all I have to do is go up to it, hold down that left click, and I can just hold it down until it's as tall as I want it to be. So we have this big steep one right here. We got, pretty much some grass everywhere. Not perfect just yet, but doesn't have to be right off. We at least have a good starting point, and pretty much our entire map is covered with some sort of grass and terrain. So we have a good starting point to work with. We have our two spawn points that are down here. Now, what we can do, if we want to manipulate this mountain a little bit more, we have this tall piece right here. And the cool thing is like this map is built up in like quadrants. You can actually, that's one thing I didn't quite go over. You can actually manipulate it to where the quadrants are more spanned out or more pushed together. And it enables the auto snapping. So like when you move an object into place, it'll auto snap to the grid, which is basically what it was showing beforehand. But with this mountain, let's say I want to flatten it out and make it to where like it's flat on top. So that way people can like, glide on top of it or, use an item to get on top of it. There's these tools over here, your sculpting tools for your terrain. I'm going to choose flatten. I'm going to go up to this mountain and I'm actually just going to hold that left click again. And you'll see it kind of starts to make this more plateau style shape. It's a little awkward looking at the moment, but you at least get the idea of, yes, like it's truly flat on top, even though it's this mountain. If you want to go back down and like maybe you don't want this giant thing, go back to your sculpt, hold shift, and then you can actually create a crater, which is kind of neat. or I can just manipulate it all the way down. If I didn't want to hit the undo button, or if I just want to, edit it out, I can totally do that too. Um, there's a lot of different things you can do. There's erase, so you can, erase what you did as well. Smoothing, which is a super cool tool. If you just go to the smooth tool, select it, and then like I'm gonna go over to this mountain over here, to this little hill. You can actually smooth it down even more so that way it's not so jagged. Um, so a lot of different things within here. You can build like more of a ramp style and everything too. Uh, Again, we're not going to go into every single edit, but like erosion to where like you can make it look a little different and everything too. Hydro, which is more of like a wet style look and everything too. A lot of different features that you can do. So super, super cool. I'm going to go back to Sculpt and just add this back in, just so that way we have some coverage and everything. But yeah, so now we have some terrain to work with, and ways to manipulate that. Obviously, if we want to change like any of the coloring and everything like that, that's the paint layer. You'll notice that each of these have, like I said, a lot of just different layers, and you can manipulate every single layer individually, and it can totally change the outcome, which is super cool. Now that we have a few more things in here, I did want to show you this outliner tool just really quick. So the outliner tool is basically like all your layers and all your grids and all your items in one place. So like if I wanted to select something specific, which is going to be kind of difficult because it's primarily just land, I could either select one or all. And like you see, it automatically lights up with what I've selected. And you can, if I want to delete that out, I can totally delete it out. It's probably going to take a minute. I can do that. And you see that I'm going back to the base. I am going to undo that though, so that way we have something in there. But that kind of gives you a quick way to be able to get to certain items if you're looking for something specific. Because when we start adding props and everything in, it's gonna be a lot, especially if you have, a full town full of chests and HVAC units and cars and railings and all like literally every single thing is its own item. So you have to be able to select that. I think the next biggest thing I want to show you guys, because I know we're actually getting a little bit lower on time, which is already crazy to say. So we've added our land in. I want to be able to show you how to add in the prop with content browser. So I'm going to switch it back to selection mode, just so that way it makes it easy. You'll notice down here in the bottom left corner, it says content drawer. If you click on that, you're going to see this little screen pop up. And you can make this bigger however you need to be able to see everything. You're going to see all these different folders. So we're going to go under Fortnite, and there's going to be all these more. There's going to be, it's literally a folder for literally everything.
Mm.
And so just to keep things as simple as possible, um, you're going to click on galleries and double click it. And then we're going to click on props, double click on props. And there's multiple folders. You'll probably start to recognize some of the names and everything in here. I'm going to scroll all the way past these folders though, and go down here to where we start to see some of these buildings and just these other props and everything. So like, let's say I want to add in, uh, this is a cuddle tree prop. So let's say I want to add this in. All I have to do is click on it, grab it and drop it in on the map. And I'll just kind of put it in a random spot because we can always manipulate it later. And boom, I've already added my first prop in this tree. It's obviously selected at the moment to where I can move it, so I can manipulate it however I need to. If I need to move it forwards and backwards, if I need to move it up and down, I can still rotate it if I need to. Not that I need to for this particular time. And then you can also scale it if I want to make it really, really big, whatever, really small, whatever that looks like. So the really cool thing is you can go to that content drawer. You can have four of the content browsers open at one time, which basically just means there will be four of these open at once. You can make them smaller and stack them on top of each other to look for different things. And if there's something specific that you're looking for, like the other day, I was trying to look for a chest to see if I could put in. Just click on that Fortnite folder, go here to this little search bar, and just type in chest, and then click enter. And then you'll actually see multiple things kind of come up for like a standard chest that would be like in Battle Royale in Fortnite. I've actually found that this chest and ammo gallery, for instance, If I go to drag it and drop it, it's going to take a minute because it's actually going to load in like multiple items. And what it's doing is it's actually bringing in all of the potential places that loot would be found. And so like if I don't want anything else from this, I could just delete anything out that I don't want. It's going to look a little crazy because like I said, there's multiple items that are selected here, but like you can see, like here's the standard loot chest and everything. There's the one from like the bug season and everything. You got the freezers, you got the ammo boxes, you got the little uh, the backpacks and stuff like that, the coolers. So there's a lot of different things you could do with that. And I could, delete whatever else out that I want to. I'm just going to undo that for now, just so that way it's out of the game. But overall, this is like, again, a very, very simple version of being able to get started to manipulate things. Using that landscaping mode, if you wanted to go into foliage and start adding like trees and like manipulate your grass and stuff like that too, you could totally do that. There's a way to get like the mud and dirt elements and everything in here too. But it at least kind of gives you a goal to start with. If I want to make some really big mountains and like hills and stuff like that for people to play on, I can totally do that really, really easily. And if I decide that looks ugly, you can just start, you know, go back through, undo it, or manipulate it with your tools and everything. And in your props, you can literally, the sky's the limit on this. There's a
Mm.
lot of different things you can do within this. I've actually preloaded into another project, 4 fields that's currently in Fortnite right now. They already have that customization. They have like sandy strip, a lot of different things that you can do with it. But let's say there's an element that you don't find within the Fortnite folders that you want to, that you want to be able to add. Let me go back to that selection piece. There was, if you go up to window and you go to this thing called Fab, my apologies. Fab is basically it's free and it's also paid. So it depends on like what you're looking for. But like if you're looking for an element that you can't find within the Fortnite gallery folder in the content browser, for instance, I think the video it was saying like I want to find a wagon. So I'll type in wagon right there and hit enter. And you'll notice like some of these are paid, right? But then like I could go scroll down and if I want to just get like this minecart wagon, this is free. I can actually get this element into my map pretty easily. I would just click on it and then I would want to add to content browser or download or anything like that. Once you've added it to your Unreal Engine Fortnite edition, it'll actually be in there for you to be able to utilize anytime that you want. So it's really cool if you don't have or if you don't see an element that you're wanting to add, go to Fab first, see if you can get it for free. And then obviously by week 3, we'll be able to show you a little bit more of the modeling, which is basically starting to build your own kind of props and everything. So super cool tools to be able to use. Like I said, a lot of different functionality within the engine itself and everything. But this kind of gives you at least a first week deep dive, I should say, to be able to help you get to this starting point, to where you can really manipulate these objects and these and the terrain and everything like that. And next week, I believe we're going to kind of be going a little bit more into depth with the placement of things, like getting some of the buildings and everything, looking at overall design of what you actually want for your level. This was just to kind of help get you going on your feet to be able to at least start a blank slate if you want to. And with that being said, yeah, Robbie, what you got?
Yeah. All right. To those of you in here, round of applause here for Dustin. What a great walkthrough of truly like, again, this is a 4 week series and we made it that so that we can take week 1 to show you the basics, the absolute basics. This is the bare minimum that you kind of need to get yourself started. And so, week 1 basically is done here. I would love if anybody has questions about what we learned today to throw them in the chat. And while you guys kind of do those, a quick snapshot of what we're looking at for week 2. As Dustin mentioned, you know, We're going to be looking at doing a little bit more, right? Every week we're going to build on top of what we did last week. So next week, definitely going into a little bit more on the prop usage and probably like lining them up together, putting some props together, or sorry, next to each other, things like that. We also will deep dive into something that I think a few of us are already going to be super on point with one of our students in here, Dustin, is in graphic design, and the other one already animates art. So we have some really advanced people taking this. But thinking about like with a map, you want to have a theme in mind, right? It could be a desert theme, could be an underwater theme, could be a mix of a couple of different things, or you can throw a theme out the window and just put what you like, right? But it's all about creating a good map, a map that people might want to play, right? And this is game design at the end of the day, which is a true career. You want to be able to use a theme to storytell, right? Who would play a game if the storytelling is really bad, or if the map isn't
Mhm.
something that you actually want to play on, right? So with that, um, please put your questions in the chat. But that is kind of what we're looking at for week two. We want to go a little bit deeper into actually placing things on the map. And then honestly, Dustin, we have an extra 10 minutes here as we do have a few questions coming in. Do you want to pull up your other projects just to show them
Yeah.
real quick a little bit here? Uh, 4 weeks is going to be fun, Matthew. That is for sure. Josh, are you able to test it? The answer is yes. I may throw that to Dustin as he might know a little bit more in depth outside of just the yes answer for you.
Yeah, and actually, as long as time permitting and everything, as I'm pulling up this map, I can kind of show you what that would look like. If I can't show you within the 10 minutes that we have remaining, we'll definitely show you that next week because that's definitely a piece that you want to be able to do. You want to be able to test out your own map to make sure the flow and everything is right, to make sure everything is in place that you want to have in place. Um, for this project that I'm pulling up, it's truly I haven't really done anything additional with it, but it at least gives you the idea for what you can go ahead and have preloaded. If you don't want to have to build from the base up, start with something up and then work your way down. I think that's okay too. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So let me share my screen one more time here. So this is another project that I have pulled up just to kind of play around with. This is the Tilted Towers map that I was speaking of kind of at the beginning and everything. So you'll notice like when I loaded Tilted Towers, it legit just goes ahead and loads in everything that would be at this POI. So it's got literally everything from, the mailboxes to the bus, the fire hydrant, the buildings and everything. Um, I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's a chest over at this basketball court or the soccer field right here. So there's already a chest and everything preloaded in here. And if I want to test this, like once I've kind of got everything set, I would just hit launch session. I'm not going to do it right this second because I have a feeling where I don't have Fortnite currently open. I did it the other day. It did crash my system for a minute, but I did have it up this afternoon, so it was totally fine. But just for the sake of time and everything, I'm not going to pull it up today, but I will show you all next week the actual like launch session that you can go in and test your map out and everything along those lines too. But this kind of gives you, like I said, another idea. If you don't want to start with a blank slate, start with one that's already slightly done and manipulate, add to it what you will. I mean, I can take this tree or whatever and drag it, drop it, same as I was doing in the other one. I can, if I want to make it really, really wonky and stuff, I can do all of this kind of stuff too. So, yeah, some really, really cool stuff. But yeah, we'll definitely get into the actual launch session next week.
All right, thank you, Dustin. To those of you that know, Tilted Towers is the best. I would land tilted every single game during my time. So this would be somewhere that I would like to start with, right? There's actually like a specific building that I really, really liked. And I might go in there and like changed a few things around. There's the little L buildings that Dustin's actually flying over right this second. Did not like those, so I might take those completely out, right? The world is really your oyster. I believe that's how the saying goes. When you look at Unreal Engine, and again, this is game design at the end of the day, which, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, is a true career path. And so outside of just having fun, learning how to make your own Fortnite map, which I mean is awesome, right? You're also learning some real world skills. And then the coolest thing here is we had a couple questions here, Dustin, that was like how do you test it? And Dustin showed you, launched the session. You can also test it with friends as well, which is amazing. Now, to actually populate your island to the Fortnite game, there are a couple steps, and so one of them is called it's escaping me at this moment. The Let me find the question here. Um, so to fully publish a map, you have to be part of the Island Creator Program, which unfortunately, there's a couple of steps, right? And number one,
Mm.
you do have to be 18 or older. And so for those of you that are a little bit younger, may not be able to join that yet. However, there is a creative submission form that you can find on, I believe it's Fortnite.com, or maybe it's in Unreal Engine Fortnite Edition. But you can submit maps there for them to review. From my knowledge, some maps get approved, some maps do not. They go through a very rigorous process there, but at the end of the day, you can play it yourself. You can bring your friends in, and then you may be able to actually get it published to the Fortnite game, which is super, super cool. Of course, with Fortnite being as big as it is, they do have to do their checks and balances, and so not everything gets approved. And I do want to just keep expectations very tailored and realistic at the end of the day, right? But again, game design. Super, super cool. It's in something that I think we all probably love to play or loved to play at least at one point, right? With Fortnite. I mean, Fortnite is so universal. What game has Dragon Ball Z plus Harry Potter plus Marvel plus DC? I mean, it's absolutely amazing. And so it's really cool, as Dustin mentioned at the beginning of this, that this is a free software that anyone can download and utilize. And so we're very happy to bring this opportunity to y'all, teach you at least the basics of what we're looking at here and deep dive further as we go through the next 3 weeks. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are pretty much set for today. So I think we're going to look at closing it out here. We cannot wait to deep dive a little bit more next week. We'll see you then next Wednesday, exact same time. Um, come come ready to learn a little bit more and actually, get a little bit more in depth as well. But that'll do it from me here today. Dustin, do you want to give any closing remarks and officially close us out here?
Sure, absolutely. No, we appreciate y'all joining for the day.
Hmm.
Like I said, again, this is literally just the tip of the iceberg. Is kind of what Robbie and I were talking about. Um, there's literally so much you could technically do with an Unreal Engine. If you're interested in trying to get in part of the creative program, again, definitely look on Epic's website. There's just some different criteria that you need to be able to meet in order to be able to do it. Not just the age piece, but it's like you have to have so many hours and everything like that built into Unreal Editor, just so that way they understand that people know what they're doing and everything like that too. So, but the cool thing is if you aren't as well versed in this too, Fortnite Creative is very very similar
Hmm.
to where you can actually anything that you make in Fortnite Creative can actually be brought over here in the Unreal Editor and adjusted from there. So super super cool. We're glad that you're a part of this. Going to have some fun and everything over the next 4 weeks. Definitely some information that me and Robbie are learning for the first time, which I think is
Yep.
really really cool. Actually, trying to get into here and manipulate everything, really get to kind of see what these game designers and everything do is super super cool. So we appreciate y'all. Hope you have a good rest of your Wednesday and
Actually,
everything.
Dustin,
Yeah,
one quick thing
by all
here.
means.
Josh, I think just finally got his Unreal Engine Fortnite edition downloaded because he had the regular one. If you could
Mhm.
share your screen one more time, he asks, where did you go to start the project?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me pull that back up. No problem at all. So when you pull up Fortnite editor for or Unreal editor for Fortnite, it should come up like this. And so you should be able to just click new project. And then what we did today is you did this blank one. If you want the Tilted Towers POI that I was just showing you, you could totally start with that too, or you can really start with any of these islands. It's really however you want to for your project to go. But then once you're in there, that's kind of where you get into all like the tools and the content browser and everything like that.
Yeah, and Dustin, peep down to the brand templates again. How cool is it that brand templates on the left?
Oh yeah.
Tatooine inspired starter island. Like that is unreal. No pun intended, right? But that's so awesome, right? So I mean, there's so much you can do with it, and again we said at the very beginning, but we just want to get you guys comfortable enough to go crazy, honestly, at the end of the day. But with that, Josh, hopefully that answered your question, and you can play around with it before we meet next Wednesday. But we will see everyone next Wednesday, once again, the exact same time. Cannot wait for it. We hope that you guys have a great rest of your week. Have a great rest of, I'm sorry, have a great weekend as well, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Take care.